Hey, what's up, everybody? Pat here, grateful recovering alcoholic and addict, just like every day. Guys, please don't forget to subscribe, leave the video a like, drop me a comment, and by all means share it with anybody you think might get something out of it. Let's get into it. How was everybody today, guys? I had a really good day today. It was a day full of pivoting, like I often do, but it really ended up being a very profitable and a very informative day. First thing this morning, I had an appointment in Roxbury at where I used to live, where we turned into 7 condos, and that worked out well because I had also got a notification the other day through my chart on my phone that I was waitlisted for a doctor's appointment, and there was an opening, so I accepted it, and I had no idea what the appointment was for. So I do today, guys. I try to stay on top of my doctor stuff. So I called yesterday, and they said that I have a new primary care physician, and it was time for my yearly physical, yearly or bi-yearly exam, which made sense because it was just about, coming up on a year ago that I got involved in all this stuff. So I was kind of happy with that. There's been stuff, I know we had ordered some labs last time, and there hadn't been an opening, so I hadn't done them yet. So I was able to go today, get my physical, and ironically my doctor said something. He was going over my history, and we were talking and all the notes, because it's right there at my OBAC clinic, so they know my recovery history. And he said the coolest thing to me, guys. I was actually really proud. He said, Jesus, looking at your overall file here, I don't know if we can call what you're doing recovery. So much recovery is more like optimization. And I thought that was pretty cool. I'm like, okay, optimization over recovery. I like that, guys. It's, talk about taking it a step further and standing out in every card, like I talk about constantly, guys. The other beauty of it is having in my chart, and this is why I'll share this because it's a great idea, guys. I did a blood draw, and with some of the stuff we were worried about, we're not worried about, wanted to check was my cholesterol, my A1C, and things of that nature, and absolutely made my day to see that. Like, I don't know the numbers and all this, but they give you this nice little graph, and it shows you, where you are in range, and all mine are right in the dark green. So all my everything I was checking is coming up. My liver function, my cholesterol, my heart, my lung, blood pressure, all these things are all shockingly healthy for what I put myself through, guys. And again, I turned it over to God. God has restored me, guys. I told you early last year, back when I was an intravenous drug user running the streets, I had picked up hepatitis C. I've never treated it, and my body has fought it off for, ever since I got into recovery last year. It was one of the first things we noticed that I no longer have Hep C, which is amazing. Like, I don't have anything today, and I'm so incredibly honored, guys. It's amazing. Further than that, I had a couple appointments. I was trying to figure out how I was going to do things. I decided to rearrange, and I got a call from a former coworker of mine who's kind of not really disabled, but he's got a lot of health issues, and he had a customer that needed a water heater done. It ended up being an incredibly profitable water heater, guys. So I spent most of the day with my doctor, did some work this morning, and then I went and banged out a water heater that paid $800. So, like, I ended up having a fantastic day, and it's amazing how these things happen today, guys. Got my stuff taken care of. Did so gratefully and lovingly and openly and willingly and sharingly, and God rewards me with an unexpected, high-paying, easy job. Like, it's beautiful, guys. Sorry for that long intro, but we're actually gonna do 2 readings today. Both the daily reflection and the just for today NA meditation are both literally, it's rare that they come up like this, but they're both short readings, and they're both the exact same topic. So I'm going to read both, and then we'll talk about it, guys. The just for today, the daily reflection is honesty with newcomers, and the reason I'm doing both of these are incredibly important for those of us that are starting to put some clean time together, and sometimes we get so self-absorbed talking about our stuff in the meetings. It's important to remember the message that we're carrying, guys, because our responsibility is to make recovery attractive to the newcomer. It's part of why I work as hard as I do, so I can show success in recovery. So, honesty with newcomers. Tell them exactly what happened to you. Stress the spiritual feature freely. The marvel of recovery is that I only talk of what happened to me. I don't waste time offering advice to potential newcomers, for if advice worked, nobody would need a recovery meeting. All I have to do is show what has brought me to sobriety and what has changed my life. If I fail to stress the spiritual feature of my recovery program, I am being dishonest. The newcomer should not be given a false impression of sobriety. I am sober only through the grace of my higher power, God, and that is what makes it possible for me to share with others. The message of our meetings, the fact that we each and every I'm sorry, that's the second reading. Sorry guys, that was the end of the daily reflection. And it's true. It's only through God that I have everything I have going for me. It's as soon as I started asking God for help in an honest way, started getting honest with what help it was that I needed, not getting me out of an arrest, not helping me not lose my job, but looking at my life and realizing that I had no idea what I was doing. Everything I was doing was wrong, and my momentum was carrying me downstream, and I needed it to stop, and I was willing to turn it over. I asked honestly for help, and again, I started praying for months before I even got into rehab. It was the one thing I was doing consistently right, was praying every night, even though I was doing everything else wrong and still getting high. I continued to pray every night because I felt something when I did. There's that first prayer back in, I think, October, November of last year. Flipped the switch, and it just ignited a spark in me, and that slowly grew into a fire of desire for recovery. And I'm so incredibly grateful that it stayed burning and burns brighter every day. So the second reading, guys, the Just for Today NA meditation is the message of our meetings. The fact that we, each and every group, focus on carrying the message provides consistency. Addicts can count on us. Tales of our antics and active addiction may be funny. Stories of our old bizarre reactions to life when using may be interesting, but they tend to carry the mess more than the message. Philosophical arguments on the nature of God are fascinating. Discussions of current controversies have their place. However, that place is not at a recovery meeting. Those times when we grow disgusted with meetings and find ourselves complaining that, quote-unquote, they don't know how to share, or it was another whining session, are probably indications that we need to take a good hard look at how we share. What we share about how we got into recovery and how we stayed there through the 12 steps is the real message. Yeah. What we share about how we got into recovery and how we stayed there through the 12 steps is the real message of recovery. That's what we are all here looking for when we go to a meeting. Our primary purpose is to carry the message to the still suffering addict. What we share at a meeting can either contribute significantly to this effort or it can distract greatly. The choice and responsibility is ours. And the affirmation is, just for today, I will share my recovery at my meeting. So, guys, we'll talk about that for a bit because it's actually a very important topic. And again, nothing of this is hard, fast rules. I'm not saying you can't go into a meeting and share because that's what we're there for, guys. But it's important to make sure that your overall message is that of your experience, strength, and hope, right? We're there to provide hope for the still suffering addict, somebody struggling, somebody on the fence, somebody that's chronically relapsing. Yes, we also share our struggles, but it's also and you'll notice people with significant clean time, and I hope to be one of them in the future as much as I am so far. We focus on the fact that regardless of what struggle we're going through, we don't use the underlying message, and that's why I love these messages so much. That's why I love hearing other people today, because I get so much out of it. I just feel a part of it. I get so much respect for these people that are dealing with unbelievable situations, guys. One thing I notice time and time again is that recovering addicts, recovering alcoholics, we all carry so much guilt and shame for the shit that we did for so long that I notice as myself personally that I see so many stepping up and becoming the leaders of the family unit. Because we, to get through what we've got through, guys, we have immense strength. It takes immense strength to fight addiction, to make it into recovery, and then to put any kind of recovery program together. It takes a lot of strength, and I commend everybody. But as we stabilize, I notice so many people then step up, and we take responsibility for those that were helping us along. So if it's, our parents getting older and needing help, or even brothers, sisters, cousins, sisters, nieces, cousins, nephews, whatever, whoever around you needs us, we tend to be there because we have a little more gratitude than your average person for a life in sobriety. We tend to see the beauty in things that other people take for granted because we were without them for so long. Not many people know despair the way a suffering addict or alcoholic does, guys. And again, I'm not saying it isn't a pity party. It's the fact that we go through extreme situations, like myself. I mean, I was a gifted student, and not that I ever applied myself, but things came very natural to me. I should have been wildly successful, and yet my actions led me to live a life where I was constantly, like literally, guys, for over 15, 18 years, I lived a life that I knew at any given moment I was going to be plucked out of it and locked in a cage for the foreseeable future, leaving behind anything and everything I had amassed. I've lost snowmobiles, dirt bikes, motorcycles, cars, monster trucks I built, houses, furniture, books, everything I've ever owned, everything I had from my family, like over and over and over again. And that there's a level of detachment that comes with that, and it's not that I'm proud of it. I'm proud of that. I'm using that detachment for good today, because as soon as something starts to head me down a bad way, I'm able to whip out that detachment skill that I have and use it for something positive today. But I don't have to be, using it to give up the things in my life that I like today, because I'm not burning my life to the ground today. But I do have a strength, and we all do. We have a strength that is just unmatched as we work our recovery program. Like I said, this my favorite shirt says, never underestimate a recovering addict. We have a strength that few people will ever know. And I love when we see that, people using that strength to step up in their situations and take on the burdens of their family, not other people's burdens. Never take that on, but there to carry the burdens of family members that have helped us out or people we care about. And that's beautiful, right? So you see these people come into the meetings and you hear the unbelievably tough situations that they're going through, and yet their message is still one of hope, and one that no matter what, I've learned I can do this, and I can do this without picking up a drink, without picking up a drug, and so long as I continue to, I can do that and so much more. And then they'll say something along the lines of, this too shall pass. And it's amazing when somebody can be looking at like an overwhelming stress that would just bury most people and send a lot of people into addiction. And we're looking at it knowing full well that that's not the answer. That using and drinking is never the answer. It's only adding more fuel to the fire of the problem. That's the message we need to carry. So it's okay to share whatever you're going through, but just keep in mind, like, it's important to keep recovery focused on our message, and that's what we're there for. We're all there to share the message of recovery, to extend the message of hope to the suffering addict, and then just have the camaraderie and the strength in numbers that we obviously enjoy in our recovery meetings. And again, like the first reading said, we never want to. It's so incredibly dangerous to want to come in and say, everything is peachy hunky-dory. And again, this is something I got to catch myself. That's why I'm always very authentic and honest to share the struggles that I've been through, because I am incredibly upbeat. I am incredibly capable of dealing with stress and pain. My threshold for it is absolutely insane. The doctor and I were talking today. He saw my notes on my surgery, and he's like, did you really go through surgery without any pain meds? I'm like, yeah, I absolutely did. And I'll do it again. I'm more afraid, and I didn't do it to prove a point to anybody. I did it because I'm honestly terrified that if they administered opiates into my body, that all this work that I've done may go out the window. I've had to be very intentional about getting that 800-pound gorilla off my back, and I'm not going to let some doctor decide that my pain level is worth my life. Absolutely not. Pain goes away. Addiction kills. And I was proud of that. I'm proud of the fact that I have that point of view today, just like so many of us. But but even then, guys, I'm incredibly careful when I share that story at a meeting, because I don't want anybody coming in, any newcomer coming in, thinking, oh no, what if they're going through something? They're prescribed a medication that they're doing properly. Somebody else is administering it to them and they're using it properly. They're not abusing it. I don't ever want them to think that they're doing any less of a program, because absolutely you're not. If you're using a properly prescribed medication properly and not abusing it and not nodding out on it and not sniffing it and not blah, 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 whatever, and that's only a conversation only you and your doctor and your loved ones can have, right? I don't want anybody to ever think that because of my situation, for me, it's different. I know me. Like, I have a medically high threshold for pain. I've also lost decades and decades and years in prison and lived homeless on the street because of my addiction to opiates. And, when I weigh those two guys, I'm okay with the pain. Like, I'll take an aspirin, I'll take them. And that's the other thing, guys. If you are going through something physical, try Motrin and Tylenol together if you're not allergic to either one. It's one of the most effective pain relief things I've ever seen in my life. And I'd used it from when I had the terrible tooth pain and so many different things. It's what got me through the surgery, and it helped. But again, even then, I just stopped giving them. I couldn't take them as much as they were prescribing to me because it was too much. My stomach was going. I couldn't eat nothing. I had that aspirin stomach. It's just disgusting. So, guys, the point being, it is incredibly irresponsible of us to not share openly, honestly, and then it's incredibly important of us to also keep the message of hope. Like, we don't want to sell somebody a false idea of recovery, thinking that everything's going to be, lollipops and rainbows. But the message is that anybody who wants recovery can have it. And if you follow these same steps that we followed, you will find recovery. And no, life is not going to be, a bowl of cherries and you're still going to face struggles. But you will learn skills to deal with those struggles, and then you'll respect yourself for dealing with these things as a sober, responsible adult. And that's my message of recovery. And then, then as you stabilize in recovery, it's up to you whether you want to just stay to that level, or do you want to step past recovery and start optimizing your life? Because now we've got these beautiful 12-step program. We've got this way of living. Like this program has taught me a way of living that I'm so incredibly grateful for. The fact that I understood that everything was wrong and that my detachment is what it was, because I was able to let everything go, including my own inadequacies and insecurities and limiting beliefs and my ego, and just start fresh and turn it over to God and just seek God's will for me and the power to carry that out, and then apply that to every area of my life. And lo and behold, guys, like, it is absolutely amazing where I am today. And again, not without struggles, not without stress, not without disappointments. I can't control anybody else. I can't make anybody else want what I want. But again, my only comparison that brings me to the belief or the feeling that my life is incredibly blessed and beautiful is comparing what I've been through, what results I used to get for the actions that I would take, and I compare them to what's going on in my life today. I wake up in the same energy every day. I'm stronger than I've ever been. I look 10 years younger now than I did a year ago. I love the person that I am. I know what matters to me. I know what my belief system is. I trust myself. I have confidence in my actions. I have confidence in my life. I have family back in my life. I have people supporting me in every direction. I deal with life and life's turns. When I say life is beautiful, that's what I'm talking about. It's not to say I don't deal with hardships, and I don't deal with stress, and I don't deal with bureaucracy and stupidity and scammers and just everywhere across the board. I deal with the same shit everybody does. But when I focus on what God has done for me and through me, it's hard to feel anything other than blessed watching the miracles manifest in my life, because I've opened myself and aligned myself with those miracles. Nothing has been given to me other than everything God gives me. Everything else I've worked with God to earn. And that's a beautiful thing, because that's, when you feel that way, guys, you now have the responsibility to hold the rewards that you're going after. Guys, that's the message for today. I hope it wasn't too convoluted. Thank all of you so much for being here with me. Always remember, God loves you. I love you. We'll see you in the next one.